I could see why a lot of people might have a lot of negative feelings towards the beaten people now.
Listen. If Gary Griffith is the most qualified person for the work of police commissioner, give him the work. All this PRing and going around talking about the public want you, and you have a gift, and you have to give this gift to Trinidad. Oh, Jesus Christ.
One, you are the Minister of National Security in this, right?
Yeah.
You are also the MP.
Yeah.
I think it's in your best interest to stay up. I think it's in your best interest not to fall asleep. I think so. Yo, welcome back. It's the Alternative Perspectives podcast, the App 868, and we're doing it once again. Another week we're on the inside, and this week is a fun-filled week. I am Naldo.
Jude.
Yeah, and we're on the inside again. This week it had a lot of action, a lot of drama.
Yeah, bro. Trinidad and Tobago is the land of drama this week, yeah.
Yeah,
this past 7 days, yeah.
Coming out of the tropical cyclone we ever watched, right? We had that, which was happening.
The storm that never was.
Yeah. But guess what? They say, hey, the drama can't miss Trinidad, dog.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it didn't come from outside, we will create it here.
We'd have a different kind of storm.
Yeah.
A media storm.
One way or the other, it must shake up.
Yeah,
it must shake up the place. You remember to check us out on all your podcasting platforms, The App 868, and on YouTube, search The App 868. I've been trying a different method this week in putting out clips on YouTube and then upload the whole interview after, kind of DJ Vlad kind of style.
The interview, the whole...
Well, not interview, but yeah. The whole podcast.
In last week's instance, we had an interview.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
But, and well, the entire thing is on the podcasting platforms, which I'm seeing some significant growth on the podcasting platforms. So shout out to all the people out there who downloading their podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Spotify is one of the best ways to do it, though, because Apple Podcasts tend to download the podcast to your phone and take up space on your phone, right? So Spotify is a pretty decent way for you to ingest your podcast as well. Coming out the drama this week. Well, today is Tuesday, recording on the Tuesday of this week, and last Friday night into Saturday morning, there was a police involved shooting, you call it, or police involved shooting, and where I know at the starting 3 of the people died, all 4. I think now they're saying all 4 died, right?
Well, it was 3 died on the spot. One was in hospital, and 2 were remanded.
Right. So
6 people in Aqua.
Yeah, well.
Aqua space. That couldn't have been not comfortable, right? But yeah.
Yeah. And well, so the thing is 4. So I think it's 4 people passed by now, and
well, I don't know. I don't. So the 4 people passed away.
The thing is, I've been seeing that in the reports.
Okay.
Like yesterday.
All right.
So the thing is, now the police is alleging that they tried to intercept the car. They got a report that there was a robbery in West Moorings.
I heard that they got a report that there were some men in an Aqua brandishing weapons.
Right. So you see, but apparently they have different stories coming out.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they were saying that they got a report that there are a robbery in West Moorings now, men in Aqua brandishing weapons. Like, so many just anyway.
Well, I don't know. Look, that's the way it was phrased, but I suppose what it could be is that they won't just flashing their weapons in the car. They probably said, we saw men with firearms enter an Aqua.
Right.
And but that's the way it was just phrased in the report that I read.
Right. And well, coming out of that situation, the police, I guess, braced the Aqua, tried to stop the Aqua in Port of Spain. Because the thing is, I heard a different story where they're saying where somebody who was on the scene was saying that the fella tried to drive up a one-way, and that's what the police really tried to stop them for. But it's plenty different stories, which of course, I know just last week you gave kudos to the police, but the thing is, at least we know or we think that there's going to be a proper investigation. It seems to be, the police seems to be investigating themselves pretty competently this wrongs.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in the instance of the young lady from Beetham who lost her life, and the report was just laid and recommendations made as to what should take place. And also with respect to the police officer who was killed, apparently or allegedly by the hands of his colleagues. Those instances, it was the PCA conducting the investigation.
I mean, I know you would appreciate the difference and all that. I mean, all them damn same thing. Anyhow,
but in the instance of the PCA, is not the police investigating themselves. Yeah. That's the most important thing. It is actually an independent body, not involving police officers. Right. So that's why that distinction should be made. Yeah.
The thing is, so either the police or the PCA will investigate this matter,
right.
And I think we will see some things coming out of it.
Well, I mean, from the report I read today, the police drove up either alongside them or behind them and told them to stop, and they didn't stop. They drove off, right? And that I want to believe that part is true because it was posed to one of the relatives of one of the deceased individuals. She was giving that account of the story.
Okay.
And when she was asked why didn't they stop, she said she didn't know.
Right.
So that didn't come out from the police. It came from a relative of one of the deceased.
Right.
So it appears that they at least did not they disobeyed the order to pull aside.
Right. Of course, we still have to find out if it really had a gun on the scene, if them fellas really was behind the police. I mean, there are so many cameras in Port of Spain now.
Because that's the claim. The claim is the police claim that they tried to intercept them, they refused to stop, and then they were fired upon.
Right.
And so they returned fire.
And the thing is, coming out of this, a day and a half after, or whatever the case may be, nearly 2 days after, there was protests in the Port of Spain area, because they said it was all over Port of Spain apparently.
Yeah. They tried a thing on Nelson Street.
Yeah.
There was Beetham Sealots, and they tried a thing on Nelson Street. The one on Nelson Street didn't last long.
Okay. Yeah, and no, the I think
we should mention protests that got fiery, literally.
Yeah.
Not just people were
right. So fiery protests.
Yes.
You know, if you're
burning debris,
you know it goes. People in the Beetham is bunting.
Debris across the highway. And for those not from Trinidad and Tobago, the highway that was blocked is the main artery into the capital of the country, of the island, and of the nation, Port of Spain. So when that main artery is blocked, it causes lots of chaos.
And the thing is, they blocked the highway and the bus route.
Yes,
and
they tried to block the Lady Young, but that was foiled. Yeah.
Right, so they tried to block nearly all
access
points. So the main one, and then any other subsidiary or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, I've been seeing a lot of people. I'm seeing more people against the protest than I'm seeing people that's supporting it on my side. I don't know how things look on your side.
Is the complete opposite on my end.
Serious.
Complete opposite on my end. Which is somewhat surprising from the perspective of, because we talk a lot about how Trinidadians are follow fashions and what kind of happened with respect to BLM in the States. We were always saying that Trinidadians are they jump on in support of BLM protests when we have police killings here that are where allegations are made that they're not above board and unarmed individuals involved, but they don't ever seem to empathize with the poor black people here when that happens. But they're quick to jump on a support BLM and America's racist bandwagon when it happens abroad. And so I was expecting to see that again play out. But what I see this time is people they catch on and they don't want to be called hypocrites.
Right.
I don't think they really care. But it's almost like we've kind of learned that this is the language that we have to, this is the code of conduct we have to abide by, right? We have to pretend that we care about the downtrodden, and we siding with the protesters, and so you're seeing that coming.
The thing is, on my side, where I saw a lot of people on Facebook, especially, they were fed up. They were fed up about Beetham people holding the country at ransom. They were fed up People are saying, hey, listen, only to find our next way. But let me play this video here from Chinny Rambles, right? And you let me know what you think. Well, is your perspective on it?
By now, all of you would have already heard of the protest action today by residents of the Beetham and Sealarts area and some parts of Port of Spain. Now, this was in response to a police shooting that took place some days ago with some youth men in a car. Now, I am not here to debate whether the police were right or wrong. As a matter of fact, I didn't know about that killing until today. What I'm here to talk about, though, is the fact that I think that the residents of Beetham and environs, you all are misguided. You all are going about this action wrong. And let me explain to you all why I think you all are wasting time and being counterproductive. Now, the first thing you have to understand is all governments in a democratically elected system, whether it be America or the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, both respond and fear one thing, and that is public pressure. For example, when the opposition leader is in parliament speaking, she's essentially speaking to us and raising concerns in hopes that we would put pressure on the government for them to make a change. Without us, the government wouldn't make a change because it will be business as normal. So what's the point that I'm getting at? It's a simple point. If you have any grievances, you take it up with the people in charge, not the public at large. You need the public at large on your side to put pressure on the powers that be to help you in your quest. That is just the nature of the beast. Which means, if you have an issue with laws, or whatever your issue is, go here and protest. Go in front here and burn tires. Find your MP's house, go in front of his house and burn tires. Go in front of Colum Imbert's house, burn tires. You have an issue with the police, go in front of the police commissioner's house and burn tires. Go in front of the prime minister's house and burn tires. Do whatever you have to do as long as it doesn't involve this, because when you all do things like this, or even things like this here, you all alienate the population. The court of public opinion is now against the residents of Beetham, Sealarts, East Dry River, wherever else this was taking place, because you all cause gridlock traffic. So though it may seem on the surface like you all did something meaningful, the only thing you all have successfully done is got the masses against you all, which means there's now no public pressure to help you all in your cause, which is counterproductive. This is why I said what you all did today was counterproductive. And make no mistake, the state knows this. This is why, even though the state can move a protest in a matter of minutes, they just let it linger. You know why? Because they want the court of public opinion to be against you all. That protest could have been ended. We have the manpower, the firepower to end something like that in a matter of minutes. They allow it to drag on just long enough to upset the entire country. Because then the general consensus is going to be, oh gosh, we're them protesting for again, them damn Beetham residents again. And just like that, the state used your biggest weapon, your biggest ally, which should have been the court of public opinion, against you. Because make no mistake, at this point in time, no one really cares whether the police officers were justified or unjustified in the killing of the young men. Everybody is now upset with the residents for causing gridlock traffic across the country today. And that is something you do not want. Because once you reach in a position, you have lost what could have been your biggest ally in your cause, which is the court of public opinion putting pressure on the government or whoever it may be to launch an investigation. So the point is, do not alienate the public. Use
Right, so you get the gist of it. I can't say I agree with what he's saying 100%. Because at the end of the day, I think what they do, it works. Once they inconvenience the average person will now might now say, well, okay, let me hear what they have to say. But I could also understand his point with how you could turn off some of the average people as well.
Well, okay. I think that is an argument that would have held water for a different type of protest. Because number one, the protest was successful because they are going to launch an investigation. They've already promised to launch an investigation. So from the perspective of, well, you're not going to get what you're protesting for, that's exactly what they're getting. And they're going to get that now, right? I understand a protest, if they were protesting, bad roads, or, for systemic changes in government, then yes, this is probably not going to achieve that, right? And in that instance, you might have turned off. But when it's, in instances like this, and remember, they are not necessarily I'm not saying all of the people involved, because I honestly believe that when these protests get widespread, you have very few people who are actually protesting or who are actually upset about what took place, and a lot of people who are just who love chaos and love mayhem, and they just get involved because there's an opportunity to bond thing and behave bad, right? But in this, remember, they're not just protesting for a change per se. In this instance, they're letting out steam. That is what they would say. They're angry and they're letting their anger be felt. Right? So it is not like if somebody sat down and, they came and they had a strategic planning meeting and decided this is what we... So I get the point he's making, and it is obviously, it does make sense to protest in a way that doesn't upset the mass population. But as I say, I think that is something more relevant to when you're protesting for systemic changes and changes in laws. They're not protesting for that. They're protesting. They want the police who was involved in that scene to be held accountable.
No, the thing is, as I say, so I've seen it from all sides. But the thing is, I have seen so much people, put out their disgust at the residents yesterday, that I could see how that point makes sense in terms of people kind of brush aside what went on and what they protesting for, and people just like, we fed up all, and obviously because, I mean, you have plenty different angles to look at it. One, if you are close to the fiery protest when it's going on, the average man, that will frighten the shit out of them. Or woman.
But we should mention, though, that this is one of the few times I have not heard of any incidents of robberies taking place during the protest, which is another which is a element of the protest that tend to take place in Beetham when they reach the highway and the bus route, that could really piss people off, because what a lot of people use that as an opportunity to do is to rob people, intimidate people, mash up people, all them kind of shit.
Well, the
I
thing
didn't
is,
any things like that this time.
I'm in a group here, and a guy posted a video, and his windscreen was damaged badly, and he said he got that from in the mix of the thing, the big stone, right? I knew a police officer who was involved in managing the situation in Beetham yesterday, and I asked him, and he said he didn't hear or see any of that. Right. So the thing is, I was kind of doubting it, but somebody who knows the man, because the video was spreading, right? And somebody who knows the man personally said, boy, dog, but that's really the situation. That man is not on them kind of games thing. That's really the situation.
PTM family, good afternoon. If you have any business in town, forget that now. Forget that. Post my windscreen here. They shooting big stone behind the police, bottle behind the police, and they don't care. Understand?
So, I mean,
we don't know how it happened, in the sense that it could have been a bad lucky. I don't know. But in other words, it wasn't a listen, because at times when they've had protests there, they've had people hurling projectiles all willy-nilly with the expressed intent to damage passerby cars, not to stop them, to rob them necessarily, just to people had to feel pain, so they're hurling projectiles into the road. Maybe that wasn't what happened in his instance, but he, it just had whatever circumstances led to that. But did he describe what happened?
Yeah, he said they were pelting stones or whatever. The police.
The police.
Yeah, and him passing.
Okay.
He pick up now. Right. So, but that's all. And so now, as I was saying, the thing is the amount of fright to the average man, because I mean, it has some of us who might have a little street sense, a little, we might have
more street sense. Yeah, more frightened you would be, because when you see men from the Beetham blocking the road.
Yeah, but more frightening. People who not accustomed to the street at all, they would be, who would know that life at all, who would know badness at all. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you, but I would just think the more you're aware of who those people are, and what they're capable of, the more frightened you would be.
The thing is, I think the average person, when they see them, they think it's worse. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. You don't think it's worse?
I would be just...
If when I say see them, not just see them in the road, I mean, but if you are driving on the highway and a man is running out into the highway with something in his hand to block you, what do you think he's doing?
Yeah, I might probably think he was.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, with me, That's why I pay for full comprehensive insurance now, boy. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
No, but whatever you choose to do is whatever you choose to do. But I'm just saying.
But there are some people who God and start to cry and pack up and they're like Nikki Crosby, man. Nikki Crosby video.
What happened there?
When they was protesting on the beat-up and she stopped and she started crying.
Yeah.
Right? You understand? And they were like Nikki. So I think that obviously frustrates people. I think people who are trying to do business, because the place was locked down for a good while. You understand what I'm saying? People get tied up all how. I know a girl who had a job interview to go to that get tired, but obviously they would be understanding because of the situation. But I mean, I don't know, probably she was nervous and getting ready for the job interview. And as we spoke on this, as we said on this podcast before, them thing hard to come across now, but you could just imagine a real charging up and then bam, it's back and all. So I could see why a lot of people might have have a lot of negative feelings towards the beaten people now. I tell you, because I see real plenty. I see plenty on TikTok too. Now, obviously, so for me, I saw more people against the protests. And well, you say it on your side, they see more people in support.
No, to be fair, I am not as, connected in the social media thing as you, right? I didn't go on Facebook. Maybe it would have been different if I was on Facebook. What I'm judging by is Twitter. And what I've come to realize is that the Trinidad Twitter sphere is a very unique sphere. It trying to be like the American Twitter sphere.
But that's a fake work zone.
Yeah. I did realize that.
Oh, them just wake up every day. Trinidad Twitter just wake up every day and get an update. And then the update
right.
is what going on in the States.
Right.
You understand?
Right. And I realized that they generally express those sentiments. So that's probably why. But what I saw on Twitter was a lot of that. Now, as I say, I'm guessing that the people, I don't think they're being sincere, but they just, this is the way we are supposed to respond.
Right.
Now. This is we're supposed to be socially conscious now. And so now, because what you were seeing a lot of is, if you what I saw, this sentiment I saw in about 5 or 6 different ways, but this same sentiment expressed, where if you have never experienced having to change your address on your resume, please keep quiet, or you know what I mean? I'm not here for all of the people, all the privileged people, disparaging residents of that kind of bullshit. Yeah. That's what there was a lot of on Trinidad Twitter. And just the couple groups that I was in, that was the sentiment people were trying to express. There were people saying that damn shit. Yeah. But they were, as I say, I got the feeling like they don't want to be called out.
Right.
Because people will be like, wait, but you was on
black. Because
you was hell hard behind BLM.
I actually posted a thing on TikTok with that, I know. I was like, wait. So, wait. When BLM was burning on the states, right? And killing people in the protest, because people get killed in the protest, right? Ole was like, the black people had have a voice. But no.
Rioting is the voice of the unheard. Yes.
I said, but no. I said, Ole vex? I said, is it because it's inconvenient to you?
These people ain't burned down a single business. They ain't, well, as far as I'm aware, they didn't rob nobody. I mean, all they would have done is caused inconvenience. As far as we know, there was nobody who died as a result, and who needed to get treatment in the hospital and was not allowed to we haven't heard of any of that. So nobody died. All that happened was that people were inconvenienced, and they're like, nah, fuck that. We ain't not going on that road at all.
Yeah, because as I was telling you, with BLM protests, we have David Dawn. Is David Dawn? No, whatever the guy name is, Mr. Dawn. Yeah, who was killed. We have a 9-year-old girl who was killed in a car as well. You understand? Because the protesters decided they want to block off a road. The woman didn't realize, and they fired at the car. So, and so none of this happened here. And, people were up in arms. So I ended up making a TikTok video about it, or whatever the case may be. So, boy.
I just found it. I just wanted to observe people because, as I say, some people know they go get called out, so they're trying to act a little different now. So I was just being entertained. All of yesterday and today, I was just being entertained on social media.
Well, but how you feel about it generally?
About the protest?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel any way about it. I understand where it comes from, and I'm not saying I think it's okay or is the best way to go about whatever you're doing. But I kind of understand where it comes from. And like I say, unless it gets to the point of your, criminal damage or physically harming innocent people, I'm not okay with it, but I'm like, all right, well,
you have to do what you had to do
this,
to
this
try
is
and
what
get,
it is. Yes,
to get
yes.
the justice that
Right.
and
this is what it is.
All right, well, I guess as we were saying last week, we were talking about people trusting the police service, or whatever the case may be. But obviously, I think if they had some degree of trust, the protests would not have gotten so big. Obviously, we would have still been hurt or still been damaged.
I don't think it would have mattered. First of all, those people in those areas will never trust the police.
Right.
They will never ever trust the police. They could see a million convictions of corrupt police. They will never trust the police. And some of them with good reason, because they see corrupt police all the time. Right? So they will never trust the police. And so even if we had 5 years of what we could consider good policing and everything smooth and everything looking like going, in order, this had happened, you'd have seen the same blow up. You'd have seen the same blow up. Because number one is frustration, it is actual anger at the fact that these young men lost their lives, and according to some people, they was innocent. They were innocent of whatever they were being accused of. So they would have been irate. And then also, like I say, there are elements in those areas that just they like the mayhem.
Like Rob.
They like the mayhem. So they would have been very interested in
but
that.
But we're talking about that area, right?
Right.
Fitzgerald is not still the MP for that area?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, boy. Because they had the press conference yesterday, and my thing is, one, you are the Minister of National Security in this city, right?
Yeah.
You are also the MP.
Yeah.
I think it's in your best interest to stay up. I think it's in your best interest not to fall asleep. I think so. I think I could be wrong, dog, but I think being your community, your constituency, and being the Minister of National Security.
Listen, I see where you're going with this, and obviously I'm not trying to say the man shouldn't be up. But oh God, don't get the man a little blind now, man. The man probably running on empty, because since this thing's happened, his phone going non-stop. He had to be giving reports to this one and
Dr.
getting reports
Rowley.
from that one.
Doctor, stop calling the man them hours in the morning now, boy, dog boy. Stop calling the man. Right? You remember it had some thing where they say, Dr. Rowley was calling him minutes to 2 or something in the morning.
And he didn't answer. Yeah. And not too long after that, he was removed from his ministerial position. Yeah.
And then made a junior minister.
Yeah, but
Dr. will get the man ease up now, boy. They be calling the man them hours now, boy. You seen it on the man. The man is delivering speeches and falling asleep.
It's a dicey thing. When I saw the one from the press conference, I was like, I've seen ministers do that before. I've never seen a minister fall asleep while talking, while delivering a speech. I never saw that before. And I saw Fitzgerald Hines do that. So after he did that, to me, he's a sleeping man.
I thought they put him on Biden level now.
That can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
No. He speaks in coherent sentences.
Right.
So, you can't put him on Biden's level. No, that's not.
Okay.
You don't shake hands with the A and thing.
Right.
But, man's just a tired fella. He's just a tired fella.
But, I wonder if any private business ever sponsor, like a minister or sponsor. Because I think Monster could jump out, dog. Monster, Yeah, boy, Monster.
Or Five Energy.
Something, boy, link up with Fitz. You understand what I'm saying?
Help sort him out. And he was one of them that Arnold Roberts used to go out hard in the early days. I don't know if Arnold Roberts still on the radio. I don't know what is going on with that. But in the early days of him being on 104, not 104, 102.
102.
Yeah. In the afternoon, he used to go at. He always insisted that there were members of this cabinet that just weren't up for hard work. Dr. Rowley was one of them. He would point out, he would just say, nah, man, he's not in it for the hard work. Right? And Fitzgerald Hines was another one. So, I don't know, it looking like if them fellas given, or at least he given Andrew Roberts with some credence.
Or it might be that the man is working so hard he's tired. He could be that he's just working so hard.
All the other cabinet ministers
Not working as hard as him.
working hard.
Let me be real. Crime is one of the biggest problems right now in the country.
Okay. Well, I mean, it has been for quite some time. So.
Yeah. But I mean, it wasn't really that big during the pandemic.
So, but Terrence Yal Singh wasn't falling asleep all the time.
How he bongs the man car?
I don't know about that, but he wasn't falling asleep. He wasn't falling asleep on the podium. You understand? So I don't think I could give him that. I don't think I give him that excuse. Maybe the man is just one of them who needs, a 9 hours a night, and this is not the work that is good at.
No, here's the thing. I know you're going to get real upset, so I'm going to say no, right? But I have also seen I'm real sorry, right? But I should have screenshotted every post I saw where people were saying if Gary Griffith was still the commissioner of police, things would not have been how they are now. I saw people say bring back Gary. I saw people say Gary Griffith, we need you. I've been seeing these so many of them
You sure that's
in the last few days.
Gary Griffith burner accounts?
No, like people I know, like people I know.
Gary, we hack them because he on the PR train here right now. He is
right. So the thing is, a lot of people seem to believe that one of the ways to fix crime and to fix a lot of these things in the country.
They mean crime or what happened?
Well, they mean crime, and they also mean because people raging about the amount of crime because they were claiming 20 murders over the weekend.
Well, 13 and 36 hours was the last thing I saw.
Right.
So over between Friday and Saturday, they had 13 murders.
Right. So right, I hear them claiming 20. I don't know how true it is. I mean trying to count murder here, right? So people are saying, hey, we need Gary to come back. If Gary comes back, we could deal with this with the crime situation. And he said this protest would not get so out of hand. You understand? So people believe this is all they had. Right? No. The thing is, as we all know, we probably all don't know. Some of us may know, Gary Griffith, the former
Minister of National Security.
Minister of National Security and former
police commissioner
has now tossed his hat in the race or the ring to be the commissioner of police again. Right?
Yes.
This man screenshotted all the responses in the polls that different people did.
Yes.
They want him back, right?
Yes. On social media.
Media
houses had
different
posted
people,
questions. The question whether or not he would be back. Whether they would like to see him return as police commissioner or not. Yes.
Right. And I mean, like, really, a lot of the polls were very favorable to him. Yeah. And he screenshot them and
he analyzed them. That's the first thing. He analyzed them and then screenshot them.
Right.
Screenshot them, yes.
And then put them up.
Yeah.
So you could say the public want him back. It seems that way from the small polls. And so what do you do
Listen. If Gary Griffith is the most qualified person for the work of police commissioner, give him the work. I have no problem with him being in the work.
Right.
I suspect he may very well be the most qualified person of the people who have applied. I don't know. I'm just saying. I suspect it's not implausible that he could be the most qualified of all the individuals. Right. I don't think you could judge how well a police commissioner performs by the state of crime because that's not primarily, he is not Batman. This is not, Gotham City, and he is not the Cape Crusader.
But I think he is trying to make you believe that.
He thinks he is. And he behaves like he is. And he walks around and parades himself like he is. But he's not. That's not the role of a police commissioner. So, to say if under a police commissioner, crime has increased, I don't see that necessarily as, well, that's failure on the part of the... Now, it could be, but it's not necessarily correlated in my mind, right? So, I am not expecting, if he returns, that anything will change in that respect, if that is the only change that is made. If the only change is made is he come back as the police commissioner, then I don't expect to see anything, anything change. But if he is the most qualified man for the work, give him the work. All this PRing and going around talking about the public want you, and you have a gift, and you have to give this gift to Trinidad. Oh, Jesus Christ, boy, dog.
No, here's my issue with that, right? All you imagine, right? you and a girl break up, right? And the girl go on social media or the other person go on social media and ask, do you think I'm the perfect match for that person? And everybody say, yeah, always a real good couple. And the person bring back this information. They're like, here, nah. Look, everybody say we're a good match.
Yes.
That was, I mean...
No, but I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to put pressure on the selectors.
Yeah, I know, I understand that.
He's trying to make it so that if he's not selected by the Police Service Commission, there will be an uproar.
Right, he's trying to, one, put pressure on them like that, and two...
He will claim that's not... I'm not trying to put pressure on anybody, but...
Right, so he's trying to put pressure...
You're doing that.
He's trying to put pressure up front and then in behind too.
Yes.
He's putting pressure up front for them to make the decision and putting them in a position. If they don't make the decision to suit him,
they'll be criticized. They'll be criticized by the public.
Yeah, and so that's what he's doing. I mean...
Because there's no other reason to keep, bleating on and on and on about how much the people want you.
And that's the thing. If somebody doesn't want you, right, they don't want you. And if they want you back, they will have you back.
And the people is not the ones to decide who's the police commissioner.
Right.
That's the most... This is not one of those things where...
There is vote for.
You're not you're not a political appointee, right? And you're certainly not an elected official. So what difference does it make if the whole of Trinidad want you? It doesn't matter. That's not what is at issue here.
Well, boy, I wonder if they should make that a thing to... I think it's talk about already.
No, boy, you don't know what the job of police commissioner involves.
No, but what I'm saying...
Don't turn...
But
we have enough personality contests. We don't need another one.
All right. But what I'm saying, the only people who should be, if you're doing a voting system, which obviously shouldn't be, but right? The only people who should be candidates is people who are qualified. So you're only putting qualified candidates. So if you need to have, I think they had the readout of the things you need to have, right? Right. So you have those requirements, and then we poll you.
Right. But the problem is that the average person, just like what it is vote for anyway, with MPs and prime ministers, they have no clue what their job really involves. Right? They don't know. In other words, it's like, imagine selecting the CEO of your company by asking people in the general public who you want. Who you want. And all you know is that this one is, talk good on a podium and the other one is kind of stutter. This one have all kind of, skeletons in his closet, but this one, he's squeaky clean. But none of that has to do with anything to do with their competence at running a business, right? And so nobody, even for, the elected positions that we have, nobody sits and pays attention. Hey, listen, wait. This person is going to have to be in charge, number one, of the cabinet. How well can they manage people? Right.
No. So the thing is, I understand what you're saying with that. But I think with the police commissioner thing, and I think some people would argue that they felt safer and they felt like what Gary was doing was working. Right? Some people would argue that.
Just like some people argue that the politicians that they voted for are competent. Right.
Oh, okay.
So that's my point. And that is exactly, that's why we don't need more of that. We don't need more people who can just be bamboozled by spin here and spin there. And, you know what I mean? And they could, dangle something over here and distract them from the...
But the licks in it is still this, because who in the committee or whoever organizes or decides who is going to be the commissioner of police, are we going to hear from them at the end of this person's stint, whether they're going to renew their contract or not, right? Are we going to hear from them, okay, when this person was here, this is what we expected of them, and this is what they did well, or they did it well. You understand what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess it would, if the contract isn't renewed, then that's a statement in and of
because itself. I think one of the issues in the whole Gary Griffith thing is that we were led to believe that the only reason Gary Griffith didn't get back the job was because of a personal issue between him and Dr. Rowley. And the thing is, nobody didn't say, well, now when you check his KPIs, let's call it, right? Nah, it really wasn't that good enough. The man really didn't do what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And so you would always leave people up to this back and forth now, boy.
Well, I mean, I don't think if the Police Service Commission came out and gave the KPI argument, in these well, for those who don't know, key KPIs, key performance indicators.
Right.
If, this is where he was and this is where he was, because all of that is still subjective. You know what I mean? Gary, well, just like how you sit down and have your appraisal with your job,
Right,
with your managers or whatever, supervisors, superiors is what I was looking for. At your job, and how you feel you did in this particular area, not how they feel, because it's subjective. You know what I mean? It's not like all right, it's like a sales target thing where you're supposed to make 1,000 sales a month, you only make 500. It's clear that you failed. But when it's things like your teamwork and your ability to do this or do that, who knows? That's just somebody's. It will still be subjective, and guy would still probably fight and say, well, no, that wasn't right, and they judge me on based on wrong criteria. Another thing they always do is say, well, yeah, I might not have done this, but my hands were tied. I never got this resource from this person and that resource from that. So it don't make a difference. But just don't make it a personality contest. We could do without that.
Well, boy.
Because imagine if we made it a personality contest, you want more Gary Griffiths around, more police officers going around campaigning in the public, more men, more fellas trying to play RoboCop all day so that people go get them the work because, them fellas, yeah, he's the man, but yeah, he's the real Batman. Oh God, we could do without that. We could do without that.
Well, we had to see how it goes. We definitely had to wait and see how it goes because, boy, I tell you, the other day when Nash went by the shop with the mask thing.
No.
Yeah, boy. So, the other day we go by a parlor right across the road there. Now, the parlor piece, I don't want to see the parlor on the pavement, but the front of the parlor on the pavement.
Yeah, I know the parlor
right?
you're talking about.
So, I had to walk, right? And we pull up in the car, and she jump out the car now, and forgot the mask. Walk across by the parlor. It had a woman there and a guy there. And then, so I see she hustling, come back. I said, what happened? She said, let me know mask now. I said, oh, God, right by the parlor, you don't need a mask there. She's like, nah, just in case the police pass over. So I know being loud. I was like, because she's walking back, I was like, if the police want to tell you anything about masks, right? They should go and get ticket to everybody who's in Jam Naked. Not as pointing out that party alone.
Not just that. On the boulevard,
right?
In Arkansas, nobody does wear no mask. People stand up in front by the police station, by the bus shed, and don't be wearing no mask.
But so here's the thing in it, right? Now, when I was making these statements, the guy who was there, he stand up and he watching me hard now.
The guy who was in the shop?
No, the guy who stand up by the shop. Who went to purchase, right?
Okay.
He stand up watching me real hard now. And at that point, I started kind of scoop through, bald head, no beard, no mustache.
Right.
So then when she came back in the car, she's like, nah, the man had come and say, all they doing what they want. You understand? The law is still to wear masks. You understand? So that is why she came back. But she didn't want to tell me that point now, because she probably feel like me wild him too now. Like, let him know. Go for me now. Let's ship it up. You understand?
Yeah.
But so yeah, there's a police officer who clearly.
No,
was using.
You real bad lucky with them thing,
Well, not me, but nah, because
well, it's still your aura.
Yeah.
It's still your vibes. I mean, as I say, over the time, I've had a couple of run-ins with the police about that, but generally never, and I've never encountered it in home, right? Around here,
right?
You understand? And I do not wear a mask anywhere other than to go into a store, right?
Well, the thing is, why
so I don't know.
The man,
and I went by that same shop more than once.
No, the thing is, I also believe if she didn't come for the mask, he would not do anything. You understand? I don't think he go and look to write up a ticket or tell her, "Nah, come and go in the station." I think he decided he go through whoever talk he wanted to throw whoever the case may be for whatever reason. I don't know, but and that's my point, and that has been my point for the longest while. You leave this in place.
Stop giving people the opportunity to do that.
To wild me and jump me and get whatever Jones you have in your body or whatever feeling you have. You understand? You in a hard on to jump people about mask. Don't get nobody the opportunity to do me that.
To do me that. Just kill it,
Right? We totally outside. We going in a store. We not going to air condition. So we outside in the sun. We walk from the car to the shop. You know what I'm saying? They pick up two things in the shop and I'm looking to jump. That's bullshit, but anyhow. Nevertheless, the Prime Minister say, we looking at, I ain't saying it happening. We looking at, if everything is everything.
just now, I get 2 reports. I heard he said they will be gone by mid-July.
Well, no. The thing is, you're saying based on you seeing the behavior of the people, or whatever the case may be, right? And
We'll get to that in a second.
right? And talking to
No. That was on the Friday.
right,
On the Friday, he came and he was talking at the fish fry thing in Carnage.
Right.
And that's when he mentioned that.
Right.
But on Saturday, when he
He
was
said something
leaving,
else.
when he was leaving to go to is Billy's or Suriname, wherever he going for the CARICOM thing. When he was leaving, apparently he spoke to the press at the VIP lounge in the airport, and he said the masks will be gone by mid-July.
Right.
Which gives I didn't see the press conference live,
Right.
but all of the
Right.
media houses have reported that's what he said, right? Which I would think what happened was after he spoke on Friday, he spoke to the minister, well, what he will claim is that he
Right.
spoke to the Minister of Health, and that's what he came up with, and the announcement was made that by mid-July, it would be gone.
Right.
And as I sent it to you because as I say, I wanted you to. One of the things that has irritated me throughout this entire pandemic, and when it comes to the government's response, is that I understand to some extent why they feel they had to do what they did, many of the things they did, right? I mean, we have these arguments about whether the lockdowns were good, bad, or indifferent. But to some extent, I think they're a little bit sterile in the sense that in the end, I think once bodies started to drop, even if the government did not order lockdowns and order schools to close, you would have had real chaos anyway, because people would have stayed home on their own, right? And then there'd been arguments about teachers forcing teachers to go to school, and if the class only has 10% of the students there, can they carry on with school anyway? So you probably would have had to deal with school closures and economic fallout anyhow you take it. So to some extent, I understand why they had to do what they had to do to an extent, right? But one of the things that kept irritating me was that it was clear that many of the decisions they were making were not scientific ones. They were plainly political ones. And just say that they're political. But what I couldn't take was them making political decisions and then pretending that there was science behind, and then having idiots in the population argue with me, claiming that they're only doing what the experts are advising. No, they're not. They're doing, yes, I'm not saying they're having no discussions with experts. I'm saying to you that even if experts told them, listen, 99% of what you're going to do won't make a damn difference, they would have still done it because people wanted it to be done.
Right.
And they did not want to get, as politicians, the last thing they want to do is get pilloried by the population in the media or outside.
Right. So the thing is, they did the political thing.
Right.
With a little bit of science sometimes.
Right. And they listen only to the science that would have given them the impetus to do what the things that were politically expedient. Right. So in other words, when science might have urged them to, like, let's say with respect to masks, I'm yet to see science to suggest that mask wearing on the outside makes a big difference in the open air. And I mean, there are many, many countries with very bright people running them who never ordered masks to be worn outside, who imposed some very strict lockdowns, but still never made people wear masks outside. So we being made to wear masks outside, was that a scientific decision? No, they ignored that science because they just felt like, well, we want to look like we're doing the most we could do. So that's what they did. And when he was speaking in that press conference last week, Friday, he let the mask figuratively slip. No pun intended. He let the mask slip because you heard what he said. He said while he was outside. Well, I realized it was in fact a typo. So it was the statement he made was something to the effect of he went out of the country and he noticed that we didn't have that nervousness towards COVID-19 anymore. So therefore, we might be looking into removing the mask. What does that suggest to you, Naldo?
Well, the thing is, I was giving you my perspective and you give me your perspective on it. And for one, my perspective was, to me, because of probably the way I look at him being sort of dictatorial.
Yeah.
I know what all that do. You understand? Yeah, I felt like he was saying, yeah, well, I was outside and clearly, well, let's just get loose then, boy. Let's just do what they want then, boy. Right? And then your perspective on it was?
He just made it clear that the masks had nothing to do with managing any spread. It was that it was put in place because you all were scared. And I just wanted to manage your fright. So therefore, and now that you look like you don't care anymore, well, then I'm going to remove. Which there's no rationale to that other than you are making political decisions. Because the masks, my understanding is, they're supposed to be in place so that we could manage the spread to protect the healthcare services, right? Not to eradicate the disease. We never try to eradicate disease. All these measures are simply put in place so that whatever spread takes place is a spread that the healthcare system can manage. And therefore, once that was no longer an issue, the mask mandate should have disappeared, right? But that's not what you are using as your criteria, right? You are simply saying, well, it look like all in frightened. So.
And the thing is, where you're pulling that information from, even if you're using that, where do you watching the pictures from the parties? Because
those parties were going on long before you left, eh?
Right, exactly, right. So this is what I saying. So you're watching the pictures from the parties because we have been partying. We have been partying since Carnival time.
Right.
People were in the Savannah, jamming and whining without masks, since February.
Which just now before you go ahead, I wanted don't want to keep interrupting you, but as you mentioned that, then think about what he said first. He said when he saw those things, he got worried. What shit you telling me? If you was worried, you would have stopped it. Right, so what you're saying? So you were allowing an experiment? That's what you're doing. You were doing. I mean, there's a petri dish here. We could just let's go and see what go on. If you were worried, you would have stopped it. Right.
And the thing is, what were you worried about? You worried about it possibly spreading because people weren't wearing masks and in close contact with each other. Then you should have wear a mask when you fly out.
Right, yeah.
Right?
When you went to Ghana. Yeah.
Because this thing is real. It's out there and it is real.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. No joke.
So you should have worn a mask if you was really worried.
Right. Yes.
But you weren't.
Right. Clearly.
Right?
And if you were worried by the pictures and the videos you saw, because first of all, how could you be worried? You all have allowed this. You all have clearly said when the restrictions were removed, no limits on gatherings. Go ahead. Now, I'm not even sure what the law is with respect to whether people in the party is supposed to wear masks. I heard Dale Singh saying they're not mandated to wear masks. I thought that the COVID-19 protocols were supposed to be in place even when...
Exactly. So you consider no mandate. Because if you're in public, it's supposed to be wearing a mask.
I don't understand. I don't know. But as I saw an article where he was made to respond to the issue and he said the party goers don't need to wear masks. So I don't know if it's because they're on a private grounds. I have no idea. Right? But it is but I remember for Carnival, it was made clear that even though people were going to be partying, they were all supposed to be wearing masks unless eating and drinking.
I think that statement might be very weird, and I think a lawyer would have to explain that to me, how he could say.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I saw that he responded. I didn't see the press conference that they drew it from, but I just saw the article that was talking about his response, and they said that he said he did that. They didn't need to wear masks. I don't know why. And as I say, and clearly they don't, because if they did, they would have been making, listen, they'd have made public statements. Lowly, all in these fests and all these things, you all need to buck up. You need to wear the mask. But you know what it is now, though? You have to give them credit. I have to give them full 100 credit. It's bordering on genius what they're doing.
All right, let me hear.
It's bordering on genius. They are simply letting us run the situation so that they protect themselves politically.
Right.
Right? So, in other words, we know what has to be done. We have to go back to normal. But we're not going to come out
and say that
before people are ready to hear that and say that, because then we will get criticized from sun up to sundown.
And then if it happened to have more spread, we could just blame it on all year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We could say, we never tell all year to go and wine and jam without mask. We just said there are no limits on the, you understand what I'm saying? The protocols were supposed to be in place and the this and the that and the other. So that's what they're doing. So they are allowing, they don't want to get blamed or they don't want to face criticism.
So like a new model parent.
In a sense, yes. And they're letting you burn to learn, right? And then when you burn, they blame you. Right. Because you're not listening to what I'm saying, right? But that's exactly, and I mean, to some extent, you have to, as I say, you have to tip your hat to it from a political standpoint is managing the situation well, because you're avoiding the pushback that you would get.
I have been saying this for a while. I think if it's one thing you have to give you have to give the PNM, you have to give that institution, is that they really know how to work them tricks now. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Them know how to work them little tricks, and they know how to kind of manipulate people and how to control the people and how to, right? They're real good at that. And I guess that's something that the UNC never got time to really develop, but they're real good at that. And one of the things I gave them a lot of props for was the year when they called the election in the August. Right? Remember they said a while before that he was going to call it in August, and he could have put it off, right? But he realized that, listen, I can't put it off for some major reasons. He knew he was going to say not going to have no carnival, but he didn't want to have to say not going to have no carnival
before every election.
Before.
And also he knew they had a time limit on how long they could keep COVID at bay.
Right. So and before the spread get real wild. They decide, listen, because if it get real wild while we in charge, we could probably lose.
This whole thing will go sour because right now we that's what they were running on. Remember, they were patting themselves on the back, and the nation was giving them a round of applause.
And remember, they were saying that some ways say they one of the best countries at.
Right, that was a Cambridge study in the very early stages.
Yeah. But the thing is, and I watch how they play that, and I was like, yeah, boy, rounds of applause, boy. All they time this and do this thing real well and work it out. I mean, obviously, everything fall long after that. Everything.
But that was the point. The point was, if it had to fall long, let it fall long with us in power now.
And give all the 5 years to forget. Right? And I mean, we really just need 9 days, but I mean, we give 5 years. Right? So, I mean, kudos to them.
And remember, I don't remember, was you I was telling that I told you this thing wasn't going to last much longer. And I believe they were just waiting for school to
close.
End. Because and you know why? Because they want, when children go back out to school in September, they're probably not going to be required to wear masks. But if they announce that now, the palpitation, God, I got it.
Because trust and believe it, like as in a group, and one of them ride sharing groups somewhere, right, with the drivers. And when that information come out, a man posted in the group, hey boy, mid-month, no more masks, boy. I said, right, I go start back to work at that point. Man, but you mad, boy, let's talk real shit, boy. Think, I meant started chip off, boy. I wear my mask still, boy. But again, turn about here. And I was like, whoa.
I saw a lot of that too. I saw a lot of when the announcement came out. I see people, that's great, but I'll still be wearing mine. Okay,
and that's fine. That's fine.
Wonderful. 100%.
Yeah, but this kind of trying to condemn people and get wild.
And all I got dropped down on them because listen, all it is they're holding on to the vestiges of these things because, like you have said on numerous occasions, they need to justify some of the things they were doing in the past. Because remember, they took very firm stances, right? And now that things kind of just moving on and the people are moving on, they feel like, wait a minute, but this was my thing. This was me taking this thing seriously. This was my badge of honor. So they're gonna rile up and whatever. But and again, to the credit of the PNM, this is probably the best way to handle it because the longer people go on without seeing anything, then they will just resume normal life, and they don't have to. So in other words, if they had announced in the middle of the school term that the mask need to be worn again, it'll have chaos. But if you have 2 months where,
and I think even simple things like this, like people will have bought masks to probably try to get them through the school term,
right?
So now taking it off, because people, so you make me buy all that masks and you come and stop it now. You understand what I'm saying? And them little things now, boy. So
so it is probably the best way to handle it, but it only became that way because they inject a ridiculous amount of fear in the beginning. So now they have to face the consequence of trying to reverse that. But Jesus Christ.
But they work it out. They work it out real good.
But it like I say, from a political standpoint, they're handling it perfectly, but it's just for people like you and I who don't like bullshit. Well, we in the minority, and they know that.
So skipping ahead, as you talking about school and the maths and all the drama, only 37% of SEA pupils scored more than 50%. Right? They say no top ranking will be revealed.
No, but from next year.
No, I think they didn't do top ranking this year. They did this percentile thing that was sending people crazy, apparently.
There was that.
Right.
There was that.
But I guess they didn't put no position in.
Oh. I thought I meant from next year. But all right, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Right? So yeah, so basically...
What do you feel about that, though?
What I feel about that?
Not publishing the ranking.
Like the top 3 and the top 10 and things?
Yeah.
And I think that should. I mean... Because you could publish it, you don't need to let me know what percent they get. But I think
why you wouldn't want to say what percent they get?
Well, whoever
is the people in the bottom who don't want to know how much they get. But I mean, the people who come in the top 10, the percentages will be a smidgen away from each other anyway. So.
Yeah, but the thing is, that sometimes helps some of them children go through and go forward. Some of the parents who pressure their children. And I wanted to have kill them. I think sometimes the reward is they just be looking for.
And listen. Why are you taking away any sort of celebration of success? Like, why are we doing that? And I was seeing a whole set of people, applauding that. Well, right, because it was never
a top ranking.
Yeah. So, that is an archaic thing. Yeah. Because you didn't come first. If you came first, you'd want the whole world to know. You know what I mean? So, of course, I understand that, listen, this is supposed to be something that is for the upper echelons, you know what I mean? And if you've worked hard and you've succeeded, and as I was saying to somebody, it's like we celebrate so much shit these days, so much we encourage people to be proud of things that they had nothing to do with, like their skin color and their sexuality, things that they had no effect on, right? Well, people could argue about the sexuality thing, but the point is, these are immutable characteristics. It's not you didn't earn them; they're just things that happen to be, that you happen to be born with. And we always tell people to celebrate those things, so we're gonna actually discourage them from celebrating
something they work for,
an actual accomplishment. What's going on? And I know the government doing it because all the shit they get into last year with the children from last year, which is even worse because
now you're looking like you're trying to hide it. You're looking like it looked like we pulled our ratchet last year and all they realized. So this year now, we can't put out it because.
Yeah, because looking like we used to try to bubble all this thing, and now and so it's even worse. You're denying the students their glory because of your incompetence and your bullshit. But I see people applauding this thing like we're moving forward and
because all right. So like in school, right? They stop saying who come first, second, third in test, right? And
they
stop that in test. Yeah. And some people like I real good because I used to make people feel bad, and I was like, well, probably some of them need to feel bad. I mean, some of them will probably feel bad and never do better and will wallow in the sorrow and just continue doing bad. But then it might help some people push harder because they want to come first or they want to come higher up in tests, right?
That was in primary school. That was my thing.
That was the thing.
That was my thing, competing with people.
What the hell is youth man name? Joseph something the youth man name was or something Joseph.
David Barlow was mine.
Yeah. And the two are we fighting first and second.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that is when I was going to Romilly's. So what are you doing? And I tell you, that would make you.
And is it having any positive effect on anything you're seeing?
Yeah.
Is it making the students any better? No, it's just and everything about hurting people's feelings. Some people sometimes, first of all, the world is a harsh place, and if you're going to prepare people for the world, then their feelings are going to be hurt at some point.
Well, and you know they had a meme where they say Oprah was fired for whoever.
Yeah.
And Walt Disney wanted to do whatever, and he was fired, and he turned it around and make a positive about it. So
and these opportunities to teach your children how to cope with failure and how to advance themselves
and how to deal with losing. I think last week we were talking about that, and I think a lot of people just don't know how to lose.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very important thing. People don't know how to lose.
Yes.
And lose, you have to learn to lose and try to come back and come back again and come back again. You understand? Don't be like Kevin Durant. right? But that's what you have to do. And I don't know. Because I remember, but Gary Vaynerchuk and I have been talking about that. You know, the giving people participation awards and
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, Gary.
I thought they tried to say Gary Griffith, and I was like, Gary Griffith.
No, Gary Vaynerchuk. Sorry, yeah.
Vaynerchuk is his name. Whatever. Gary V.
Yeah, Gary V. Right. And that's what you're saying. That listen, we mashing up these children by just giving them something for participation, which is basically the same thing here. You had to give people the trophies. You had to give people the...
And you have to tell them the truth. You have to know that there is such a thing as a hierarchy. Because even if you don't do it, if they don't understand that in school, that it makes a difference who's first, second, and third, they're going to realize it when they go out into the world. When they all apply for a job, how is the person chosen randomly? No, the best candidate is chosen.
Right.
And if they aren't chosen, they know they weren't the best, right?
And because now you know what happen. They go into the job interviews, somebody who have more qualifications than them or whatever the case may be, and you vex. But how them go get the job? You know why? Because them light skin.
Right.
Them here straight. That's why them get the job.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't say, well, because now, dog, you just do have what it takes. You gotta go and try again, or you go somewhere else.
Exactly. And because whether people want to tell you or not, the world ranks you. You understand? And you have to, all of us as human beings have to find the games we could play well. So yes, academics might be the game you could play and win, but they might have a different game you could play and win.
And I swear I was having this conversation with a young girl on TikTok, which was weird because I saw, first of all, this is a very weird place to have such a,
in-depth
conversation that way, right? In the comment section of TikTok, right? But I mean, I don't want to carry it back too much on that, but what she was basically saying is that the people from BTOM and them places, because of the hard life they have, they can't get somebody, quote unquote, kind of prestigious jobs. Not prestigious, sophisticated jobs. And I was like, well, for one, those jobs aren't necessary for everybody. And I went to was like, and she's a nail tech. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think she had like some other work too, right? But the thing is, it have people who could not do those things and make money. So even if you the academics and you can't keep up with these people, well, boy, it looked like I had to learn plumbing. It looked like I had to learn electrical. I had to try something else.
I had to run a legal race.
Yeah.
Right? Because the unfortunate thing is that most of them do try another thing. It's just the things that they're trying legal.
They just want to run 80 meter now, 100 meter. I really sure distance now, right? But
damaging churn by this bullshit. But so that irritated me so much this week.
No, the thing is, do you think? Well, I think so, but the 2 years away from school is what mainly had the impact on them on this.
Of course. I know 3 teachers. Well, one is not a teacher anymore, but 2 who teach in primary school. And they have been saying that the students are nowhere near where they're supposed to be. Nowhere near. And one of them was telling me is that the attention span, I mean, it's young children, so you always have to deal with that. But now it's even worse. It's even worse because remember when they were online with online schooling, you couldn't discipline them. So when they walked away from the screen, the most you could do is call to them or whatever. But you can't. It's not like in a class. You could, hey, look at me. You could tell what they're doing. Right. When they on a screen and they drift off.
Well, that's just it. That's how I'm operating it because apparently you could personal chat on Zoom. So they chatting with their friend in a personal message on Zoom while the teacher teaching.
And I mean, to be fair, people would have always done that in class.
Yeah, but the thing is, the teacher could see you talking.
Right.
What are you doing? Only show them out because plenty of us could tell you in our report books, I probably never get, but you see, so-and-so talks too much.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
So they would have been able to, but on top of the fact that they're chatting, they're also doing things that are much more dopamine inducing. So, okay, having a chat with somebody while the teacher's talking, that's a common thing, right? But playing a video game while the teacher is talking, that's a completely different vibe.
I really see my nephew used to do a long time.
Yeah.
I see my nephew, like where he was positioned, when his mother come outside, as in I was living home, when his mother come outside, she can't see the screen now.
Right, yeah.
And I would pass how my room was when I come out the door, I could see just the edge of the screen.
Yeah.
And I would not see the teacher up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would see YouTube videos playing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see, you understand what I'm saying?
So
But
that now, because as we will talk about, we are getting really hooked on these things, right? As adults, students are supposed to at least be forced to sit down in a setting for at least 5 hours a day where they would be free of that. But when you had them at home, working virtually, and they were able to now to really utilize these things, either to play games or watch YouTube videos. Or whatever. So now their brains, they can't sit down and listen to a teacher for more than 10 minutes now without just going into a different world. And so it's even worse for little children. And that's what he was telling me. It's awful now. So of course that what happened over the past 2 years made it worse.
especially considering that, we are one of the normal countries. Yeah, I know that's a weird term to use, but one of the normal countries who kept our children away from school for so long. We might have been one of the countries who did it the longest, I think.
One of the
Yeah, I mean, I think the other countries who might have done that is like friggin' Congo or I'm just joking.
I think that's the opposite. I don't know if that happened in any African
true,
country.
because them didn't really care.
Didn't really take it. And I mean, even in Kenya, where I remember that was one of the times when I had a falling out with a PNMite. Now, the news had come on and the BBC was showing you, this was September of 2020, right? And the BBC was showing you that, Kenyan children going out to school amidst the COVID pandemic, blah, blah, blah. And, so they were just doing a story on it. And there were children with no shoes on. Right? Some of them with masks, some with not. Right? In uniforms, in, dirt classrooms. And I'm like, if them could find a way to get them trained in a classroom, in them kind of settings, why, there's nothing we could do? We really telling me. But ultimately, I don't think them African nations would have been afflicted by that. Even in South Africa only recently lifted their face mask mandate, although I don't know how well it was being enforced in the country. But it's only about 2 to 3 weeks ago that they officially lifted it. But they had school all throughout. They had school in 2020. I mean, I think they closed the school for like 6 months, and then schools reopened in 2020, and that was it, right? And they were children were in school in masks and all of that, right? So we would probably be one of the worst. I don't know of anywhere other than other Caribbean islands that had this length.
But the thing is, I know Grenada didn't stay close for the full 2 years. I know that for sure.
No, yeah, that's for sure, yeah.
Right.
But I think somebody was telling me that, I can't remember the island, but
I know Jamaica for sure didn't close school for so long either.
Somebody told me, I think it's St. Kitts or somewhere. Somebody told me that it might have been 2 years, but it was for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was for a long time.
And also we see they have about 10% of children, just over 10% of children looking to repeat Standard 5. Now think about it. 10% of
staying back.
Basically, that's 20,000. 10% of the 20,000, that's about 2,000 children, had to stay back. And you had to fit them in a class now.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You had to facilitate, because children coming up, going up.
Yes.
And now you had to be able to fit them in a mix somewhere. And it looked like we're going to see some interesting times coming, because even the positioning for schools and things, the placement for schools, that's going to be weird. Let me be real, though. If people are making the high marks that they used to make, we're going to do. You're going to send somebody because they also said that the people who does normally have over 90%, that was normally, let's say if it was normally 4%, or where the hell is the thing? You can't remember seeing it? I'm probably going too far.
Right.
Yeah, but what they're saying is people who are normally like in the 90s, which is the people who just fall into the
prestige schools.
The prestige schools and whatnot. They say if that was, I really want to get the right figures in a way. I really, really want to get the right figures. Right, yes. So the number of students scoring over 90%, she said, decreased from 3% to 0.47%.
Wow. And I'm sure the majority of them would be girls. So the amount of boys that fell off. Yeah.
Might be even worse.
Would be even worse.
Right. So what's going to happen in terms of position? I mean, you have to send boys QRC, you're going to send fellas who are 70% and in QRC.
Well, I mean, listen, I do have a fear for the students in the upper echelons, right? Because I think they can catch up.
Right.
Right. it is the students who are in the mid-range and at the lower end of the spectrum. They are the ones that I think might be lost, because what will happen is that the amount of remedial work they would require probably can't take place, and then their self-esteem will begin to really diminish, and they will start to feel like a classroom is not a place for them in the first place, right? And so once that happens, you just have no hope, because there are some of them there. Although we talk a lot about how education needs to be, we need to change up the way we educate young people and so on and so forth. Numeracy and literacy are fundamental.
Right, yeah.
Right? And I think so no matter what else you teach, no matter what you do, that those should be focused on extremely, ardently, and that we should not let those slip. But I feel you're going to see a lot of that slipping
right,
amongst the young people.
Because what they're saying is over 9,000 students, she said, who were placed into schools despite scoring under 50 and 30%.
Ratted.
So you get less than 30% and going into secondary school. That could be problematic
now,
if they do adjust the syllabus now.
No, the thing is though, I think I want to talk to a Standard 5 teacher to find out, but I think also what might have happened isn't necessarily that the students were less prepared. Sorry, not that the students are not academically up to scratch, but I think it may be that they were less prepared for the exam,
right?
Which is different from being.
But you think they probably didn't get to go through the entire syllabus,
and the drilling, drilling. Because I remember when you would have been the same thing around my time. Standard 4s when they did work, and then Standard 5 was just drilling. It was just drilling. It was just you're just doing practice test after practice test after practice test. So it was in many ways it wasn't. Because remember, how you do it, scoring an exam has two components to it. Your test-taking ability and your academic ability. So it may be that a lot of them may not have may not have been that badly off academically, but it just weren't, the test-taking skills were not up to scratch because they didn't have the amount of time that they would, because like I said, they didn't get to finish the syllabus, so maybe they finished the syllabus right
late,
up to the time, and they didn't get that drilling time where they would have worked on the test taking.
Right, where they just drill it with time, and they set timers, and we can everybody do the test a few times to make sure that
exactly
you could finish the test on time, you could finish and check over and whatever.
And you see patterns in the test, because I mean, let's be real. They were once you've completed at least 10 or 12 of those practice tests, you start to see patterns that help you when the exam comes about. You start realizing, when they say this and this and this, then I could rule out at least two answers from the I don't know if it's still multiple choice.
No way.
Okay, well then
we did really good days.
Right? Well, that's even worse, right? But
well, now the kind of good thing is, which it's kind of good, but then this looks real bad here. I mean, now it's just really maths, creative writing, and grammar. That's all they really do for SCA now.
Right. Back in all days, that's social studies and science.
Social studies and science too.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Well.
Which kind of makes us look bad.
Because numeracy and literacy is.
That's all.
That's real. Yeah.
That's all we talk about here.
Exactly. Yeah. That's tough though. That's tough. But as I say, we hope it's not that they're that behind academically. It may be that their test taking skills weren't up to scratch because they didn't have time to prepare for the exam.
But a teacher could come and talk on a podcast, or they bound by things like police and servicemen.
I think I don't think they could come and talk about things regarding their school.
Okay.
Yeah, but I used to have a teacher on my radio show all the time.
Well, the thing is, I know radio shows they might get a blind and them kind of thing because
no, they didn't have to seek permission. But I would think even if I don't think they never indicated to me they needed to seek permission. Right. But what I think they would be very unwilling to do is to talk about matters taking place in their schools.
Right.
Or to get too specific about issues regarding the Ministry of Education. So that, from that perspective, I don't think...
So they'll probably be willing to talk about just a child or how the children...
And trends. Yeah, like what they're seeing taking place and so on.
Yeah, boy, so let me mash up the future. Let me do say that. Let me see, let me hope for the best. And let me wish and
well, I think more than just the academic standing of the children, I think we've messed with their psychology, and that's where I think the problem is gonna.
Well, I think I not seen it yet in I don't know, because no, right. my little daughter, she like real clinging to her friends now. And I don't know if she was in school with them for the 2 years, if she wouldn't have felt like, host. Normally, this last week of school, my daughter ain't going to school. She like, nah, we do nothing in school. I ain't going. And I ain't too happy because we had to wake up early to go and drop shit to school, and right?
Yeah. But they're begging to go to school now.
But she's begging to go to school. I know she's begging to go to school to spend time with her friends.
For social purposes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and obviously, that could have a negative impact on the academics because when they start to study friend more than their schoolwork and friends become more important to you.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know if it's because you are away from them for so long or whatever the case may be. And no.
Well, I think what I'm seeing is, and what I'm fearful of is the digital addiction that would have been multiplied during the time of the school closures. That is where I feel the problem is going to come. I think, yes, children were already getting sucked into the online world because we are worthless parents who just think, well, just give them a tablet and drop it and leave them and go about your business, right? But I think it was even worse when they were not allowed to do anything else.
That's right, yeah.
And from what I am seeing, not just with my own children, but with, my friends and people with other young ones, is that over that time, a lot of children, many older children, but even young ones, got sucked into some things in the online world that they probably wouldn't have got sucked into at that stage, at least. I was talking to, I wasn't talking to him face to face, but a partner of mine, we were talking the other day, and he goes to a church, and he was saying that one of his, the churchgoers brought his 2 daughters, one's 11, one's 9, to talk to the pastor's wife because he found them looking at pornography and found out that they were looking at pornography for extended period. And one of them was using the device that was bought for them
for school,
right? No, I'm not saying children never saw pornography before. I saw pornography when I was young, not on the internet, but I had got my hands on Playboys or whatever. The point is, they probably would not have been exposed to that.
With less interaction
with devices. Yes, you know what I mean? But they've been sucked into these dark places on the internet.
Yeah, because the thing is, remember there was a point in time where buying food was illegal. No, not that. But there's a point in time where even going out to play in the field, it was kind of illegal. I mean, you wasn't supposed to be playing, let's call it team sports and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not to say, well, okay, we home, but on our evening when we done school, we will go out in the field and we'll kick some ball or we'll go and bounce some ball on the court.
And play in the real world, interact in the real world.
So they were kind of forced. And let's be real. I mean, I know just now you use the term somewhat less parents, but at some point too, I think the pressure could have been too much for the parents too, if you understand, in that situation.
No, what I meant was the worthless parents outside of the pandemic.
Yeah.
No, what I mean, outside of the pandemic, before the pandemic was a thing, the kind of parents who just used to be like, well, device is a thing, but a device, get them it, and just lead them to their own.
Sometimes coming into the pandemic, they kind of didn't have a choice.
But once the pandemic came on, now, because every time they have a device on them, number one, where you go, put it on and do what? Right? Even if they're not they're not going to school, put it on and do what? Oh, you understand?
Yeah, they couldn't go outside, they couldn't, so yeah. And
that's
I
what I'm fearful of.
I remember I was telling you, my cousin son, right? When he was under 8 years old and was riding and the police run him inside.
Yeah.
And he's confused. Well, it's either upon a mask or you go inside. Stay inside. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And he had to go inside or whatever the case may be. So even when you're trying, a 7-year-old boy just trying to ride his bike on the street. You understand what I'm saying? And get Django.
Stupidity.
Right?
Yeah.
So, boy. So, I mean, I just waiting to see how everything unfolds. With all the drama and all the negative things we would have done to our youth. So, Sunday this year with the Olympic medalists in the men's 4x100. Right?
Yeah, congrats to them, fellas. Congrats, Richard. Congrats, Keston, Mark, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
So, congrats to them, guys.
Yeah, fellas. And them have a little goal on the chest.
To officially now the 3rd gold medal for Trinidad and Tobago at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it was so sweet. This was the same year Keyshawn had pelt.
No.
Or this was before?
No, that was 2008. That run was 2008.
Well, like, so that's before Keyshawn.
Yeah, that's before Keyshawn.
You got Keyshawn pelt in 2012.
Yes.
Right, yeah. So this was before, yeah. So, yeah, so congratulations to these guys. I mean, that's something that, some part of your legacy, something.
Yeah, I listen. I glad for them fellas. I mean, listen. I don't know how much stock you could put into some of these tests that some of these athletes fail in. Nestor Carter has always insisted he was innocent. But nonetheless, you're being told now you're the fastest of the non-cheaters. So there's a pips. There's a pips, and like I say, is a pips for us as a tiny nation, 1.3 million people, and we've now, as I say, nabbed our 3rd Olympic gold, and all in sprinting, which is track and field.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and I know. I haven't spoken to Richard in a gazillion years, but I know that, getting that Olympic gold was something he was, hell hard after.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So I could just imagine how he's feeling now. And so, yeah, I'm glad for them fellas.
And I mean, they seem like they valued Richard Thompson because he was out there for the Beijing, the last one, whichever one is the last one.
No, Beijing was the last one.
Whichever was the last Olympics. Where Japan? There's in Japan? I don't know. But I remember they get Samsung phones. I remember him posting.
What year it would have been? It would have been 2016. No,
2020. But it fall over into 2021.
That was the shitty one, right? Yeah, that's in Japan, right?
Yeah, Japan, yeah. So, and he...
That's the one nobody care about. Or took on, yeah.
But, he was out there and they're showing his support for the team and whatever. Yeah. So, fellas, kudos, much respect.
And the thing is, we keep getting that same squad too. That same relay fella, them keep getting belated on us.
Yeah, because
the 2012 we finished 4th on the day
and end up in 3rd or 2nd eventually.
Well, 2nd eventually.
Yeah, we ended up 3rd and then end up 2nd.
Canada had run on the line, and so we got 3rd on the day. And then Tyson Gay, is Tyson Gay or Gatlin? It's Tyson Gay who tested positive later. And they took away America's silver, so we got the silver there. So that and it was the same squad. It was the same 4 fellas.
When that was 2012.
That's 2012. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, that was
all then they're still cheating gays badly.
That is.
Hey.
So congrats to them fellas. Yes.
They were not right now though.
Well, yeah. The I guess the last thing. I don't know if it's the last thing. Yeah. There's so many things.
Nah, that's most of it. Other than if you want to talk about buying a Rav4.
Nah, let me not go down that route now. I'll start to lose my patience.
I mean, listen, Toyota, if you all want, you all can sponsor the podcast. And yeah, we will test drive that Rav4 for 5 years. Right?
One each.
Yeah.
Don't give me one to test drive.
Well, yeah, one each.
You need 2 separate opinions.
Right? And we will test the battery. We would, make sure everything is everything. The hybrid system, if it's reliable.
Is it hybrid?
Yeah. It's the 4-wheel drive hybrid, the 4x4.
I didn't realize it was the hybrid.
Yeah, it's the hybrid. Right? For people who don't know, right now, Toyota, they have a big deal, a big sale going on, right? This vehicle, the RAV4, the 4x4 hybrid RAV4 was $725,000 and they are taking off $25,000. You're getting a $25,000 discount, so you can pay $700,000.
For a RAV4, remember that line Kanye had in that song? What the fuck you think a RAV4 to drive a fucking RAV4?
Yeah.
Boy, you had a rap to drive RAV4 now. To drive that shit.
Nah, but don't say shit.
Sorry, yes. To drive that wonderful 4x4. Yes, you either need to be on this podcast and get sponsorship from Toyota, or you need to be a rapper.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
what I wanted to ask you was about the Prime Minister's outburst and the and the fallout that he's facing now. To be fair, I did not expect that it would cause this much pressure, but the media practitioners in the country seem to be sticking up for each other. So they're trying to make a big deal of it.
Listen, because clearly when you see the article that they put out, and he misquoted the article, which...
the headline, yeah.
Yeah, the headline, sorry. Well, first of all, dealing with his outbursts, once again, they operate like kings and lords. And listen, you can't ask me nothing. You understand what I'm saying? You know who somebody who would have kind of operate like that, but not as blatant? Trump. Right?
No.
That was not as blatant. No. I thought Trump is a speech of reporters, though.
No. Listen, Trump never would have missed an opportunity to answer a question. If they badgered him, he would have said, listen, you're fake news.
Yeah.
But he would not have behaved like that.
Right.
Trump, to be fair, you can say all kinds of things about Trump.
That was not like that. But he would have kind of...
Yeah, I mean,
reporters who he think had something personal against him. He would not have held back from kind of...
he would insult the press. He would definitely insult them.
Right.
Yes.
So,
but he would not have not answered the question.
Right. So my thing is with Dr. Rowley, because Dr. Rowley clearly believed that this was not something personal against him. Right?
I don't believe so.
You don't think...
No. I think all of that was show so he would not answer the question.
Serious?
Yeah. Because...
But just
you think he does not know, or at least if he does think so, it can't be for what he said.
Right.
Because you think he doesn't know that the reporter doesn't write the headline?
Right, yeah. And the editors and whatever.
Think he don't know that?
So, but the thing is, the point I was making is, when Trump was doing things that might have seemed like that, you would have had people right here, look, he's a thing, he's a this, he's a that, he's a whatever. But as I tell you, read the comments in this article I sent here. Now we have for and against, but there's some blue.
I think I sent it to you on Twitter because I want you to see that was what I tell you. Read the comments in response to what in response to the article, and you can tell that people we lost. We are lost. We are lost. This there is no hope for this country because and the thing is I don't even feel the people who were coming out in support of him weren't necessarily even PNMites. I don't even think so. I wasn't even getting that impression. Like, there were people who were staunchly PNM, so obviously going to defend it. No, I think it's just, they just feel, what do you ask? You ask him a stupid question. What the fuck is wrong? But that's the place we live in. I mean, we're talking here, but I don't think we made it clear yet to people. The Prime Minister, for those who may not know, the Prime Minister was at a press conference recently, and he, one of the journalists present at the press conference attempted to ask him a question about concerning the due diligence carried out before the hiring of Reginald Amor, who's our Attorney General. And the Prime Minister, before he didn't even allow him to ask the question. Before he asked the question, the reporter said, following up on you mentioned the question I asked, and then he's like, what question are you talking about? And then he began to speak, and then he cut him off and said, listen, you some years ago wrote an article that kind of suggested that I was the one being taken to court as opposed to the person doing the suing. So I ain't answering that question, essentially. And I want no more questions from you. And then, the reporter tried to continue asking. And apparently somebody snatched the mic from him.
Yeah, because he just stopped hearing him.
No, they said a member of the Prime Minister's communications team took the mic from him.
Right. So, no, but I just saw more the clip now, but the man talking, just stop hearing the man talking like, wow.
But I'm saying, but it has been said that it is no speculation here. The reason he stopped hearing him was because they took the mic from him.
No, but why I saying, when I listen to the clip now, but before I know that, it's other one like, man, cough him now. What going on there? Why we not anyone again? You know what I'm saying?
Listen, the allegation that the media could be operating from, a nefarious place, or they might be, making some accusations or have agendas. That's fair. That's fine. You could say, I don't put anybody above that. So a media house could very well have a bias and have but that, first of all, even if that was 100% the case, that still doesn't mean you shouldn't answer the question. The point
Right.
is a legitimate question. He didn't ask you about your personal business. He asked you about the business of the people, right? And it's not for you to say, well, if you want to believe on social media, then you print it. No, bro, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you for information.
Yeah, I was going, and if I was him at that point, but I mean, we have said before, a lot of those journalists, even though some of them might ask hard questions, a lot of them still kind of just operate like they are kings and lords. So they just want to, because I would really know, boy, hold on. We put you there, and we hire you, and I have a question to ask you, right? On behalf of we.
Well, but you wouldn't get at the snatchy mic.
And then when they snatch you mic, at least that part come out, so people gonna know there's what going on here. You understand what I'm saying?
But I think he still felt he could have asked the question even after he, after he chided him like that. I think he still felt he could have asked the question, and that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna ask. He's gonna and he's gonna say the question. And he said, "Next person, next question." Hey, I don't even think I get a chance to blurt out that.
Nah, I was saying that for me. I said, "Hey, listen," and I start by my see what I say. If I take the microphone after that, at least it's on record. Like, Dan, right? You are a public servant. You are the number one public servant, and the public have a question for you, right?
No, well, to be fair, he would say the public don't have a question. You have a question, right? And you could very well be asking a question with an agenda. I may not be an agenda to that anti-Rowley. It might just be an agenda where you want a story,
right?
You don't care about the people and the people business. You asking a question because you want something juicy to write, and okay, but that's all part of the game. That's all part of the game. You sign up for that, meaning both the reporter and Mr. Rowley, the two of you all signed up for this, so you can't come now and be like, no, so I not acknowledging your question. No, dog, you have to answer the question because the question is, considering the situation we're in, which is an amount of money that's, undisclosed at this point, but seems to be a lot, may have just been, squandered because of a mistake made by, and the first thing is, this, I tell you, this is crazy, The man come and say, hey, I'm not talking about no disqualification. I talking about recusal. And that is it. I'm like, what, but the Miami court disqualified the man. Hey, I talking about recusal. You ain't talking about recusal, I not talking about nothing else. Like, wow. I think he pretended that he really feel there was personal animus. He just didn't want to answer the question, and he grandstanded. So,
that's so you think he make up that whole story?
No. I think
you think he really believed that is what was the headline, and that.
Well, he probably remembered that, and he probably has other issues with Baho. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's what that was his reason for not answering the question.
What I'm saying, but to fabricate all on the spot there.
Not to fabricate it. It's more like, all right. I think he would feel like certain members of the media are the ones who's asking tougher questions. And, them politicians, them feel everything personal, right? People generally these days feel but we'll say politicians. So he might really feel that there's some personal, but I don't think that's why he didn't want to answer the question. I think he made all that for show.
Say, so all that mental gymnastics you put on.
Yes. I think
not to answer that question.
I believe he feigned upset.
Because the thing is,
because I don't think this is the first time in however many years he asked a question.
No.
So what happened to the other times he asked him a question? And it's not like this question he's asking him is something real out of time and like, you had to be, you're on that same shit you was on however many years ago you're trying to put me up. No, how out of time is the question? And the thing is, even if you feel, because you could say to yourself, so you really think I select Attorney General without doing any vetting? You're done, so.
Right. So that's what I was going to say. Dr. Oli could have found plenty other politically correct ways to answer that. But he decided to conjure up that whole situation in his head.
Yes.
That is weird.
I think that's smart. I think because if you don't want to get into the thing of what due diligence you conducted, because you could say yes, I did due diligence, move on. But then they ask, what did this involve? Did it involve vetting all of his decisions?
Well, once again, because
you don't want to get involved in that.
Once again, what he did is he fed the reporter to his PNMites. He fed this reporter to his crowd.
Yes.
He said, well, listen, hey, this man is a man clearly attacking me wherever.
Yeah.
And so now they will treat that reporter like, isn't it Akasamaru?
Yeah. Well, worse than that, because they just think Akasamaru asks dotish questions. They don't think he's politically motivated. So they'll think of him even worse now as he's one of them who like he are UNC and he is only trying to tie up Rowdy and that's what they go to. That's what he made him into in that scenario. And as I say, I don't know these others, and I don't know if they have a history apart from this time. But I think for him to behave in that manner, I think he just did not want to get into, because how else would he have framed a non-answer? You understand what I'm saying? Because as I say, he could have said, yes, we did due diligence.
Well, he could say, listen, I left it up to my team and they did whatever. I know the man credentials. Clearly.
Nah, that's too much. That's too much. You're opening the day for questions. You don't want to talk about that. If you don't want to talk about that at all, then you have to shoot down the question completely.
And that was the only thing the man didn't say. Well, how you asking me that because you're racist? That would have been like, what Americans is doing.
Yeah. Like what them Democrat people is doing. Yeah. Every time you ask them a tough question, because you only ask me that because either because you're sexist or you're racist.
Yeah. You understand? That is what the man fall short of saying it, right? The only thing the man said, dog, you ask me this because you're racist, dog. You understand?
Listen, and the fact that the man getting away with it, bro, is it just that is the country we live in now. Though. We had to come to terms with that. That is it. People find, hey, oh God, what do you mean? You're talking about the media need access to these people? No, let's get plenty access. Social them out. That's what people saying, you know.
Boy,
if it's a stupid question, we ask the man stupid question for. All right, bro.
Yeah.
That is. I hope, but the thing is, though, I hope when the next side do it, or they keep the same energy. Yeah?
Nah, they're not going to keep it. And here's the shitty thing with the next side. The next side supporters real weak now, boy. They're real weak now, boy. They can't start up and fight for their team now, boy. And that will kill me, like, you understand? Well, yes. Anyhow, let's look to wrap it up for tonight. Once again, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, much respect to you. Remember to subscribe on YouTube. Make sure and subscribe on all the podcasting platforms and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I don't know if any of them other podcasting you can leave reviews.
You could
Spotify and them they upgraded thing. Alright, well, go and leave a review now, boy. Leave stars now, boy. You understand? Click the star them. You understand?
And mention how entertaining and insightful the both of us are.
Yeah, right? And tell us what you like about both of us, and probably we're here too. We know we not change.
Keep that part to yourself. I don't.
Oh, sure. I remember we on Twitter as well. TheHappy868, and you're paying Twitter out there. Some J Camps, no something.
Yeah, J Camps 101, I think.
Something like that.
At J Camps 101. Yeah, check me out. Trying to build this Twitter thing real hard, bro. I ain't lying. It real hard. Let's get like a follower a day, bro.
Well, I mean, that's still good.
At 6. I ain't good. So come on. Yeah, somebody.
Let me make it happen.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we out. Safe. Bless.